Sheba, as you know, in Yemen, was also the queen of Yemen. Sheba was the queen of India. Go to India, go to this, and then she had her name, just like in Arabic, she was Balkis. And in Abyssinian language, Amrinia, or Ge'ez, she's Mekta. And English, Makeda, right? And that is just another way of talking about, when they in biblical words, they say the Indus Kush. Because it went all the way out the Ganges River. The Ganges, which is part in the creation story in Genesis. One of the rivers, the Ganges River. I go into a Rasta shop on Keel and Eglinton, and Bridget has on the wall, every single time I go in there and turn and look, one of the generals of Abyssinia was named Ganges, blah, blah, blah. Pardon me, I don't remember his last name. He was a general of Abyssinia and has the date and time, and that's why they call that the Ganges River, because this Queen of Sheba dynasty stretched all the way across to Indonesia or wherever you want to talk about. That's why, Indus Kush.
What's also important is to reflect on the fact that it's science that metal method is science, tradition is science, Rastafari is science, Black Power is science. If you're not looking at it from the science perspective. So for example, Queen of Sheba, this is CMA Block of Destiny. Queen of Sheba is the 5 great principles of the 12 signs of the zodiac, namely wisdom, understanding, unity, peace, and progress. King Solomon's temple is the human body and earth. The human body, the real temple, is created by mother from conception and birth in the course of 9 months, without the use of nails and the sound of a hammer. Thus, the human body is the temple of good, of mother's grand perfection, referred to in mystery as God. And then you have this, which is the seal of Solomon, or the shield of David, right? And then the shield of David represents those who come from that line, that bloodline.
And this is Solomon,
right? And then there's the Solomon seal.
This is not Solomon's seal.
This is the shield of David.
Get that right.
And the emperor and empress were coronated at the same time for a reason. And this was the holy unification between so-called Orthodox Christianity and Islam. And if matriarch rules, then really Islam is what's supposed to be propagated from this point forward. And that's why he was the 225th king, which is 9, which is completion, which is 9 months in the womb, and now you're able to go ahead as a man because you're finished gestated. You're now in the physical. And being in the physical, your sign should be Meluneter, which is why Haile Selassie found himself sent to further his education and enrolled in the New Menelik School, which was founded in the city in Abyssinia, and it was put in charge of by an Egyptian by the name of Hanna Bey Saleb. HANNABEYSALEB.
Islam.
So we know, as His Imperial Majesty was getting into his position to be the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering the land of the tribe of Judah and all that, part of his schooling had to be dealing with learning the Egyptian mysteries. Mm-hmm. And to prove that, there's a picture that you can see all over the internet with His Imperial Majesty wearing an ankh as a child.
You have a picture of that? Please, that
book right there. No, in the corner. Underneath that one.
Underneath.
Yeah. It shows the two beside each other.
Belongs.
The Coptic cross. And the
Where there's the there.
And it shows Celeste wearing that Coptic cross.
And they went out of their way to design that like that.
Specifically designed, exactly, to represent the same principles.
Right. Has to. It's science. It's not belief.
And on that note, you can show the Dogon picture. It could show the science connection of the Dogon.
Yeah, let's get into that. No more.
So then there's the Dogon. Dogon got the beard, right? And then that beard.
Yeah, shoot the white, the big picture.
Normal. Yeah, Ama, normal.
And then that's the beard that the Rastas have. And then that's the same beard that the Egyptians had.
And just, yeah. Same beard. Also that
Same staff, same beard.
and that staff you mentioned, the thing up here, that also symbolizes 7,
Yep,
right? They call him King Emmanuel the 7th.
right.
His name is Charles Edwards, but then when he got to a certain level of development, his name, just like in the Bible,
Just like when you proclaim your nationality.
his name now is Emmanuel.
Hell.
Just like Jacob, his name was Jacob. He wrestled with his angel, the lower self, and climbed Jacob's ladder, and now was given, when he reached Peniel, on the Mount of Peniel, he was given the name Israel.
And his life was preserved.
His life was preserved.
And on that Dogon book, what that Dogon book is showing is the direct connection between science, modern day science and physics, right down to the symbol, with ancient cosmology, which is the mytho-scientific stories connecting to the universe of the Dogons. And of the Dogons. And that then it clearly shows that connection of the Dogons to the Egyptians. And we've just clearly showed the connection of the Egyptians to the Ethiopians and the Kushites and so on and so forth.
Dogon connection.
And it's science, and the key there. That's why I wanted to emphasize at the point, because y'all brothers mentioned science. It's based on science.
Science.
Clearly.
That's why the Dogon have this. Their whole culture is rooted in the Sirius star system
Yes, sir.
concept. So is the Bambara beside them, and so are many people. And the Dogon are descendants from Timbuktu. Did you know that? And Timbuktu is Moorish university or omniversity. Stop running from that. A lot of people run from that.
That's
And they
clearly
run-
documented in that book. It
Clearly.
clearly says in that book he just showed us.
Yeah.
It shows that the Dogons were from
We're from Timbuktu.
and it shows that they were really connected to the whole of that.
So are the Yoruba, so is trust me, documented, and this is just the warm up, right? But the Dogon also, the same spiritual science is in the Hopi people of here. The same script that the Dogon write with is what the Olmecs wrote with. Fact, on their Olmec heads, the same year it was scribed out, because you can test the circumference of everything and see how long it's been in, like something's been carved in and stuff like that. The same time the Olmec heads were made, they were writing in Mende script.
And happy is also an original word for Nile River.
For Nile River. Big. That's actually the real word, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a spiritual,
Happy.
it's science. It's not that manifested, if I'm correct, like the concept, and that's how civilization flowed, because the people were practicing and exercising it, right? But even the whole foundation of it with Asar, Heru, and Aset. Aset is the one who actually gives the authority to who rules. Aset's the one that comes around and cleans up everything, and to tell you the honest truth. That's why in our history of time, people saying he never seen no queens ruling our people. Pan-African people say that they never seen no queens do anything with our people. But all of the Candace queens, there's a whole period of 1,000 years where when everything was starting to get cleaned up, it was only female rulers. all the Candace queens of Ethiopia, all the, or they call them Kandite queens. Oh man. Oh yeah, and also too, just to point out on the lineages of Kemet and Abyssinia, Taharqa was the emperor, was a ruler of the Kemetic throne, and if you look on the Abyssinians, Google, and I'm going to present it to you, Taharqa is the emperor on the Ethiopias. Plus 9 or something like that, 11 emperors before were all the same, because that's when the throne of Kemet was pushed down to Meroe in present-day Ethiopia today. Won't play, man. Rastafari is right, but a lot of people across the Americas don't really know much about the science of Rastafari. They only hear the reggae music and see the ganja smoke and all the talking and all the iration of irata, universally and all that kind of stuff, and they take it for a joke. And then they take it and they see us Moors up here and trying to go on and say, that's who we are.
And another thing too is the perspective of things being taken for a joke when it comes from certain people. Like, why is it like that? Why is it that certain quote unquote black, Negro, African, colored, whatever groups are never taken serious by the rest of the world and assisted with the same plight that the rest of the world is going through?
I think the rest of the world knows and sees the same knowledge,
right, sees the same
history,
thing, but there's a disconnect from assisting those people who are claiming that, you know, they've been trampled on and they've been whatever. And to prove it, as far as the Rastafari movement is concerned, right? Why they're looked at and not assisted with things that they're doing in order to get progress is based on the missing tool, which is the etymology of words. And what those words mean, and what are you talking about when you say certain things to certain people. Because from a principles or a science perspective, everything is one. There's no difference in anything. But people create these divisions and boost these divisions up, and the divisions start getting reclamation or acknowledgement, opposed to the principle getting acknowledged.
and they boost it based off of them not wanting to add more to what they already know. They feel they've had it already, and then they want to now take that knowledge of what they know now and cause a war, rage war on everybody else who doesn't see it the same way you see it. You will forever, for the rest of your life, be learning. Once you cut yourself off, that's when you start to see your actions change, and then you start trying to pick fights in the wrong places. And then when you do pick a fight, you have nothing. You're shooting blanks. And we know it, and we say empty barrel make the most noise. Empty barrels make the most noise. And without understanding, as the Grand Sheik said, the etymology of words. And then we're so big on using these same words to attack people, but you don't realize the words that you're using. And then it just all messed up from there, and you want to come challenge somebody. In a martial arts fight,